This is part 2 of Immoral Guild. Welcome back to AniRecapz. Like and subscribe so you never miss our quality uploads. She wonders why they would collect mana this way when she even has the lowest mana of them all. She also realizes that Kikuru is the first one of her acquaintances to see her naked like that. MC, meanwhile, has recovered from the initial shock and is trying to look away and find ways to help her. Anime commands her to rescue her. He chops off the heads of the snakes and removes the bodies wrapped around her. He gets her this shirt to wear. Anime says to him that the snake did not intend to attack her as she is not hurt. She suddenly realizes that Hitamaki is still in trouble. Before Kikuru rescues her, he asks not to be sued for touching her, which was once again funny to hear. They go back to the guild and are greeted by a scene. Hitamaki learns that she is Enome's daughter. Miss Enome is 31 years old and a mother. Cute as sign goes and hugs Kikuru. She explains to Hitamaki, although her father is still alive, he cheated on her mom and is never seen, so it's better for him not to be around. As they talk, Kikuru reflects on how he felt immoral touching a married woman's body.
The next day,
our beloved MC Kikuru narrates his current situation. Despite his bandaged appearance, it is he who has disguised himself as a doctor because of reasons. Little nurse girl takes measurements in the background, while Hitamaki looks at him and blushes. MC explains that it all started with an annual physical exam of the entire guild at the start of the year. He was the last person examined by the doctor before he left to do his rounds. As MC dresses up, the nurse, Rezumisukare, bursts into the room and starts looking for the doctor. She is unable to catch him but finds MC when she returns to the examination room. The nurse begs MC to pretend to be the doctor to do the physical for the last 4 guild members waiting to be examined. It turns out that the list the clinic had was not updated. MC asks Rezumisu to just call the doctor to go back, but she says that the doctor does not have a phone. He then suggests that the nurse do the physical herself, as she is more knowledgeable than him. She replies that they do not have white coats that fit an imp like her, and she is afraid to get exposed. MC tells her it is the same with him, as he also does not want to be discovered as a fake doctor. The nurse implores him as if she screws up again, she will get fired, which makes MC realize that this is not her first mistake. He then points out that he will be recognized as the examinees are fellow guards like him. The little nurse Loli suggests he wears a face mask to cover his face and bandages to cover the color of his hair. The result seems to Kikuru that he looks like a patient himself or even a quack doctor. He reminds her that he does not know all the technical stuff of the examination. The lowly nurse assures him and informs him that the remaining examinees are all young girls and are still in their teens. Most probably, they will not have any serious illnesses. This gets Kikuru thinking about the examinees, but gets interrupted by a knock on the door. The examinees enter the room and MC's eyes widen at the realization of who the 4 are. He realizes that he really cannot be found out as the examinees turn out to be Hitamaki, Maidina, Hanabata, and Tokushuko. Thus, this was the reason why Kikuru Maiden has become Dr. Murder. The examination starts somewhat smoothly with the taking of urine samples, measuring height, weight, and other basic measurements. However, the next one requires the measurements of the bust, hip, and waist got MC worried. Fortunately, the nurse steps in and does the measurements. As they all leave MC, Hitamaki glances at Dr. Murder with a knowing look and blushes. MC decides to sit down to rest. He overhears the nurse measuring Hanabata's bust size as 110. This surprises both the nurse and MC, but the embarrassed Hanabata begs to nurse to not say it out loud. The nurse comments that the size is almost her height. As Kikuru is thinking about the 110 number, Rezumisu tells him it's time to examine the heart. MC takes the stethoscope and turns to find Hanabata as his first examinee. He tells her to expose herself, but the nurse whispers for him to tell the patient to open the front of her shirt. MC corrects his error and starts questioning whether his actions of taking on this risky role are worth the bother. As he thinks, Hanabata exposes her humongous watermelons. This blows MC away, and he asks himself if witnessing the bursting of the watermelons was actually worth it. His thoughts are interrupted by the nurse who asks him to start examining Hanabata. With shaking hands, he starts bringing the stethoscope closer to Hanabata. He realized that if Hanabata's servants find out what he is doing, he would be done for. As he thinks about it, he places the diaphragm of the stethoscopes on one of Hanabata's humongous melons. This puzzles Hanabata, and she asks if he will be able to hear her heartbeat from that position. The nurse whispers to MC to place the scope near the base of the chest. MC recovers and starts his examination. He cannot help but compare Hanabata's melons to Eneme's. He feels that Hanabata has the larger ones, and he will not be able to see a better specimen in his lifetime. As he continues listening to her chest, he notices that Hanabata's look is more of disdain than the usual look, which she gives him as her trainer. He clears Hanabata and the nurse calls the next one. Tokishiko steps in next and MC asks her to open her front. MC feels he has figured it all out. As he has seen 3 other types of bodies with huge melons, he will not be easily swayed. Unfortunately, MC was mistaken. As he witnesses Tokishiko's small melon, he is enlightened and realizes that it was not about the size but about proportion. He feels he has been waiting for this moment, but he slaps his face to control himself. He continues to examine her and notes her silky white skin and well-proportioned body. He resigns to the fact that she has beaten him as he sees her now as a woman. Despite his initial thought of her being a lazy girl, she notes her beautiful face and her shiny black hair. Tokishiko asks MC what is wrong, and he covers his face to recover. The nurse is surprised at how healthy Tokishiko is and has never been sick even once. Tokishiko notes that she is proud of that achievement. MC absent-mindedly tells her that it is really surprising as she does not seem to care about her well-being. This puzzles Tokishiko, but MC dismisses her and calls for the next patient. MC decides to examine Maidana from the back. The nurse whispers that she might get suspicious as he is examining her differently from the others. To prevent any suspicion, MC asks Maidana about the bruise on her hips. She explains that this is a holy crest given by Lord Phonazask to enable her to use white magic. Although her crest is different from the others, she goes to the examining bed to let MC check for any anomalies. He tries to avoid examining it, but the nurse calls his attention. MC figures that examining her hips will be easier than examining her front. He stands and approaches her. He wonders how easily Maidana shows off her skin with little emotion. He surmises it must be some strange familiarity she feels when being examined. He holds her hips and pulls down her gown, exposing her cute back. This causes his hands to tremble and tickling her in the process. The nurse quickly calms him down. The last patient is Hitamaki. As someone who has seen her in several embarrassing situations, MC feels he won't see anything new. Hitamaki hesitates to open her medical gown, so MC tells her he needs to check for her heartbeat. Blushing, she opens her front up. MC is frustrated at her slow movements as this made her actions seem very seductive. Despite this thought, he listens to her heart. Hitamaki's heart is racing, and this worries MC. She gives out a soft moan, and MC wants to tell her to stop moaning with the stethoscope on her chest. He knows how sensitive she can get, but he wished that she would stop it for the day. Her sweet noises carry over to the outside of the clinic. After finishing all the patients, the nurse thanked MC for his help. Hitamaki comes back and whispers in his ear that she does not know why he did this and feels what he did is wrong. She then calls him by his nickname and stares at him before leaving. MC realizes that she could smell him and knew who he is. This makes MC faint, and the nurse thinks he is dead. In Aogo Fields, the area between Mabuki City and the forest, MC is training Maidana and Tokishiko. He had set up a training menu for them, and they are starting with the stretches. Tokishiko, the black mage, notices that MC had chosen to practice with the thin team. MC corrects her, saying the magical team, as she and Maidana deal with magic. They start with fitness training. He asks if Maidana is good with physical exercises. She says she is okay, but prefers to be trained by Hanabata instead of MC. As she extolled the virtues of Hanabata, Tokishiko points out her one flaw, which was her berserk mode. Maidana continues to point out, Hitamaki may get into trouble often, but she is of a pure heart. She compares them to MC and Takashiko, who she feels belong to the evil group while the others are the good team. Despite this, Takashiko says she likes Maidana. This surprises her, but she asks her what part of her did she like. Takashiko describes her as awkward, whiny, tiny, and worth teasing. An angered Maidana pushes her to the ground. They start arguing and MC steps in to separate them. Takashiko stands and offers to continue stretching together with Maidana. However, this was a ploy to get Maidana on her back and expose her panties. She threatens to walk to town in this compromising position until she apologizes. MC tries to talk to Takashiko, but ends up getting a peek at her melons. Takashiko starts walking towards the city with Maidana on her back. She struggles and calls her mean. However, Takashiko's stamina is so low that after a few steps, they both fall to the ground. Both girls lay on the ground exhausted. MC scolds them as they have not yet started the training. Takashiko is happy as she lies down and declares she has worked up a sweat, but MC reminds her they have not even started. They start running, but Takashiko is lagging behind as she complains that she is tired and wants to go home. MC tells her that if she has energy to speak, she has the energy to run, but she insists that she is in bad shape already, and there are monsters around, noting the peaceful cow monsters grazing on the grass. MC reminds her that they are docile. Maidana notices that there is a way to sneak into the city, but the monsters from the forest have not even tried to do it once. MC explains that monsters are wary of humans. If they find food in the forest, monsters will unlikely go out of the forest, at least while they are outnumbered, as people have hunted them down. Maidana stops and says they should not leave Takashiko, who had fallen to the ground, as the cow monsters are nearby. MC notes that she ran out of stamina and couldn't even call out to them. They start doing sit-ups. MC reminds them of the proper technique. After 2 repetitions, Takashiko cannot do it anymore and starts complaining. Noting that she collapsed while running, they were supposed to wrap up their training and not proceed. MC explains that he did his training since he was 10 and was made to stand up even when he puked. He tells her his goal is to get her to average fitness. Takashiko still complains about this. Maidana continues with the sit-up, but Takashiko cannot do it anymore. She says her hips are giving and she cannot do it 3 times in a row. This shocks both MC and Maidana, as Takashiko has used an ambiguous way to say it. MC recovers and states that she is lower than average. After 1 hour, Maidana and Takashiko drink water as MC's frustration is evident on his face. Takashiko continues to complain about how she had to complete the training. MC reminds her that he had reduced the reps for her. Maidana proudly states she did all the reps and declares that she has won. Takashiko states they are not even competing. She encourages her to relax or she will fall over. Maidana states that laziness is not in her vocabulary. Takashiko wants to go, but MC says they still have 1 more training. Maidana struggles to stand up as she falls. MC quickly catches her and she thanks him. He apologizes for pushing her too hard. She says she just lost her balance, but as she moves away, she hurts her ankle. They encourage her to use her magic to heal, but she refuses, as her carelessness was the cause. She refuses to use her healing powers, as doing so will make her dependent on them. MC offers to carry her piggyback style, but she refuses, as they will be close together and her melons will be touching. MC notes to himself what part will touch, as her front is flat. Takashiko offers to carry her instead. They start walking back. MC reflects that the two seem to have become closer and are starting to work together, but Takashiko suddenly falls from exhaustion. Maidana angrily scolds her as she hit her head as they fell backward. Takashiko apologizes and states she will rest for 10 minutes before proceeding. Maidana realizes they are walking at a snail's pace and decides to cure herself with magic. Takashiko happily starts that magic is convenient. The next day, it is the other group that is doing the training. They have finished and are catching their breath. MC compares the magic group he trained the day before and the physical team who worked without complaining. Hanabata notes that she is no match for MC. He tells that 1 strike from her would be fatal for him, as he gazes at the upturned ground when her war hammer had hit. He notes that in terms of strength, she has surpassed the average knight already. She smiles at this compliment. but MC states that she tends to rely on her frenzy when she is outnumbered or emotional, which is not good when they are as a team. He asks her not to use frenzy as this may break formation during battle. MC had planned to use the training as a ruse to avoid getting hurt when she uses her frenzy skill. He had set up their conversation so she will take care of her problem, without MC revealing the true nature of her frenzy skill. Hanabata finishes her water and Hitamaki offers her some tea. MC stops her and says she too needs to be hydrated. He gets water from his bag but only finds a mana bottle. This was the unused bottle from the training yesterday. He gives it to Hanabata stating it will quench her thirst. As Hanabata drinks, MC talks to Hitamaki regarding their training. He notes that she moves around a lot and is wasting a lot of energy. He says she should learn how to make her opponents tire themselves out before moving in to defeat them. Hanabata throws the bottle on the ground. She suddenly stands up and is now in her frenzy state. MC runs and hides behind a rock, wondering how she activated her skill. Hanabata starts looking for MC and Hitamaki tries her best to lie about where he is. MC calls Tokishiko to ask for an explanation. She explains that Hanabata is currently drunk with mana from what she had. She further explains how Hanabata's frenzy is being drunk with mana since she has very poor magic resistance. Normal frenzy would use one's mana to remove limiter and auto-suggestions in the brain, but in Hanabata's case, her brain does not activate the auto-suggestion, thus resulting in her being in a drunken state. Takeshiko assures him that it would not last too long. Her frenzy skill is called by her servants as Flower Frenzy. MC notes that this is an apt name. Hanabata, however, starts rubbing her face on Hitamaki's melons despite her protests. She tackles Hitamaki to the ground as MC notes that the effect is taking longer than usual. Hanabata hugs Hitamaki and presses their melons together as she licks her neck. MC notes the collision of the mounds and silently admires it. Takeshiko hears Hitamaki squeals and wonders what they are doing there. Hanabata notes that Hitamaki is so tasty, just like the juice she just drank. Hanabata wants more of Hitamaki's huge melons and acts on them. MC tells Takeshiko about Hanabata's attacks on Hitamaki. He is fearful that he may die from Himamyuki's bear hug. Takeshiko notes that this may be because Hanabata may have some uncontrollable feelings within. Takeshiko comes up with an idea that MC should face Hanabata with full wounds. If Hanabata cares for him, she will not do anything reckless to hurt him. MC thinks this is a good plan and prepares to do it. He bites into his finger to let it bleed and uses the blood to show that he is heavily injured. MC goes out of his hiding place and faces Hanabata. He warns her that he is injured and may be killed if he gets another hit. Hanabata is saddened by this and grabs his bleeding thumb and starts sucking on it. MC is shocked and starts feeling strange, but he can resist his wayward thoughts and takes his hand away from her. She asks if his finger is healed. He points to his cheek as another part that was injured. Hanabata starts licking it as MC lies on the ground. He tells a shocked Hitamaki that this is the best method he can think of. MC thinks he can separate from her before she sobers up, as the real Hanabata would not like too much contact. However, the flower frenzy ends as Hanabata was licking his face. MC is stunned and stammers. Hanabata blushes but then brings both of her hands together and smashes MC. The blow is so massive that it shakes the entire forest. MC comments he really hates Hanabata's frenzy mode. The next day, MC observes from a tree the remnants of the battle the girls had done without him. Hitamaki, Hanabata, and Takeshiko all have parts of their clothes partially torn. Maidana is backed against a tree with her defensive magic and she is trembling from what she has just witnessed. MC observes they did not take advantage of each other's strengths but dragged each other down with their weaknesses. It turns out the girls faced off with a Burlian. Hanabata, who was their best damage dealer, charges at it but Takeshiko's uses her voltage spell, thus hitting Hanabata and incapacitating her. Hitamaki tries helping the knocked out Hanabata when the Burlian picks her up from behind. Maidana panics and starts crying, which attracts more monsters. Each member of the group is ravaged by the attacking monsters. Suddenly, Takeshiko snaps and unleashes a massive lightning attack, killing all the monsters but at the same time hitting all of them. MC drops from his perch and surveys the remnants of the battle. He decides that they should all go back to the city. They all gather at MC's house and Takashiko suggests they celebrate their first victory as novice guards. MC is reluctant to call what happened a victory, but she boasts about being the MVP by eliminating 3 monsters at once. MC scolds her as she was to root of all the problems by taking out Hanabata in a friendly fire. Hitamaki points out that it was because of Takashiko that they all survived the monster attack, but she notes that she has not beaten any monster and was of no help to them at all. Hanabata corrects her as she tried helping her when she was knocked unconscious. Takashiko teases Maidana that during the battle she becomes quiet after attracting more monsters. Takashiko and Maidana start arguing. MC puts a stops to this and observes he has to still lead them. He is saddened that his retirement will be a long way off because of this. MC takes a bite of the food and realizes how good it is. It turns out Hitamaki cooked the food from the Berlian meat they got. Everyone liked the food. Takashiko gets an idea and asks MC if she likes to date someone who can cook. He says that it better if someone could do everything. She suggests that they should have a cooking contest. MC objects to this as Takashiko is lazy and most probably does not cook. Hanabata and Maidana both have servants and most likely do not cook as well. This angers the girls and they rise to the challenge. The girls go to the kitchen to try to cook the leftover meat. Takashiko tells everyone that no one should look for recipes on the internet. MC realizes his simple comment has started a cooking competition. Maidana, having no experience with a knife, uses a part of the meat, but she does not realize what part she is using. She uses a full bottle of soy sauce and sugar to season the meat at a large pot. MC tries to tell her, but she proudly says that cooking is about reasoning and having a big pot means she needs more soy sauce. Takashiko, meanwhile, is in the garden using her flame spell to cook the meat. She covers her face with a welding mask to observe what she is cooking.
食すにあたり一つ条件がある。責任持って味見しろ。
何よ味見って。
組と言わないだけありがたく思ってほしいし。
The girls then proceeds to sample their food, and it made their clothes burst into pieces. MC is surprised by this. Hitamaki suggests they find clothes for them. Takashiko explains the food was so bad that mana poured out of her body. MC is puzzled about how this could happen and starts questioning stuff. Hanabata asks who won the cooking contest. MC, looking at their naked bodies, says it's hard to tell as no one really made it. Hitamaki then gets robes for all the girls. MC starts scolding them for wasting food. He cites bear's claw Takashiko used and Maidana using the bear's precious part. Maidana questions Hitamaki about the part she used. Hitamaki lies by saying she doesn't know, but Maidana continued to press her for answers. Hitamaki relents and tells her it was the bear's eggplant. This shocks everyone, but Maidana realizes that she had eaten part of that eggplant. This makes her blush and she ultimately faints. Takashiko notes that the bear's eggplant had a horn in it. With this, we end our video. Stay tuned for the next part and watch our other quality contents. Stay safe. Bye.